event posed for the township over the last few months?
Well, certainly when everything kind of shut down and hit in March, we had to adjust our accessibility to our planning and zoning office and to our employees that actually work in the Antrim Township offices. So for a while there, we had the doors kind of closed and locked, and we did a lot of some of our employees work from home. Our planning and zoning employees, well, certainly they did when everything kind of shut down and hit in March, we had to adjust our accessibility to our planning and zoning office walking off the street, our employees that actually work in the Antrim Township offices. The community that much in that respect because people weren't really going out to get permits and
that's right
and things like that.
And you could deposit payments and things in the mailbox.
Oh yeah,
right?
so if we had water and sewer payments or that type of thing. That would do. We've always had a night drop there. So,
right.
I think the impact was relatively painless for the most part for our residents and developers. They could call in and have questions answered and schedule over the phone discussions with our.
I'm sure it threw a kink into your maintenance, road maintenance and paving and all that sort of thing.
It did. It delayed things a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess in March the good thing is things are just starting to kind of. We're just getting to that point where we're ready to look at taking the plows off the truck. But, we've gotten hit in late March before early April, so you got to be careful with that. But
you probably don't know this, but May 7th, we had a lot of ice in Shady Grove, and I fell on my deck, and I tore my hamstring.
Oh, my.
May 7th.
On May 7th. This year?
Yes, this year. Yeah, you never know what the weather's going to bring.
You just don't, and fortunately, our crew did well. Of course, our road crew was still, working, and they can't really work from home.
Right.
But they did well with the road maintenance and things like that.
Sure.
These types of things this type of pandemic really didn't impact them very much.
That's good. I did see the park remained open. There were a lot of parks that had closed, like Renfrew and some others, but the Township Park remained open pretty much.
All of our parks, we did keep them open. We had some vigorous discussion and debate about that. A lot of input from the community. We had some very passionate people on both sides of the issue. We had one lady calling into our offices almost every day, and she felt strongly that the playgrounds and the basketball courts and tennis courts should be closed, but she wanted the park to remain open so she could still go there on a daily basis with her friends and walk the trails. And I kind of thought that was interesting because basically what she was saying is, don't allow any kids in the park, but the elderly people need to be able to use it. So.
Did you see any increased activity of any kind? I mean, folks being locked down in their homes, if they have an opportunity to get out, get some fresh air, I would think that would be a draw for people to get out and do that.
Dave, it was. We noticed, I was going up there a fair amount of time just to see how things were going up there. And we did put some signage up to say, listen, we use at your own risk, the playground equipment, that type of thing, that they're, to just let everybody know that we don't have somebody on staff there disinfecting and wiping everything down every couple minutes. It's really not feasible to do that. So it's kind of implied use at your own risk, but we put the signage up. But there's a lot of usage. We saw a lot of people up there. I know my kids were going up there frequently, and it's an outdoor park. So, even I guess our thought was the majority of us, of the board members, were, listen, there's always a risk when you're using public facilities. It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic or not. We have chickenpox season, we have flu season, those types of things, and I think it's personal responsibility to kind of disinfect and wash up after you use equipment, no matter when you use it.
Well, my wife and I took advantage of that. We were out. I don't know when our first time out was, but we saw the park's open. That's great, and just great to get out, get some fresh air, change the scenery. Yeah, we made the decision not to close it. We didn't restrict it in any way. Well, I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that. Thank you. And I think we got a good response on it. Yeah, now that things are cranked up again, you had a lot of softball tournaments there, or a softball tournament this summer. We had very, our park, even since we built those fields, it's very popular for these softball tournaments. Now, obviously, there was delay in getting those started back up, but almost every weekend, all those fields are being used. It's a great thing for the community. I know the public enjoys going out and watching the games, and it was nice to see things get back into use. It didn't really start happening till June, a little bit later than usual, but yeah, we had a lot of. Well, it's a nice facility for those things, and I'm sure anybody that goes out there, if if you've never been to the Township Park on Grand Shook Road, you got to go because it's beautiful. How many acres is there altogether?
Oh gosh, I knew you were going to ask me that.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's we purchased the original park, I believe, in early '99. Yeah. That was the original footprint of the park. I can't, off the top of my head,
well, it's
tell
a
you
lot of
the
acreage.
Usage.
It's a lot of acreage,
and of course we just purchased some additional acreage.
Sure. And there's trails out there. There's activities for everybody: the softball fields, soccer fields, playgrounds, tennis courts, basketball courts, pavilion, you name it. It's all there. So
we just did a nice resurfacing of our tennis courts and our basketball courts.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, there was some cracking in that. Yeah. It was starting to get, some of the surface was really getting a little rough. And we actually did it in house. We had a crew out of the Allentown area.
Okay.
That makes a product that you put over top to reseal and repaint those courts. And of course, it's a very thick kind of sealer that you put on there. And it's the greenish blue color. And a couple employees from this company came out, showed our guys on our crew how to do it.
Wow. Okay.
And in a couple of days, they resurfaced all of them. A really nice product, and they look brand new.
Well, you guys are doing a great job. Hats off to the supervisors for the park,
and
the maintenance of it, and for the planning, and for all that you do out there. It's a great opportunity for residents.
It really is, yeah.
Now, are you looking, I thought I saw in a minute, are you looking to put in, you're talking about some kind of a public address system at the park?
Yeah, one of the concerns, we were trying to think of a few things that we need to address out there, and one of them that was brought up is, sometimes during these, softball terms especially,
right.
Sometimes a storm will start coming in, and how do you let everybody know to take cover? These thunderstorms pop up out of nowhere sometimes, lightning, that type of thing, and we never, we don't have an official scorekeeper's tower or anything like that there, or a PA system. So, for more emergency concerns and for safety concerns, it was brought up to us a couple times that might want to get some sort of public address system there to advise everybody, hey, there's a storm coming, let's go ahead and shut things down. And
that's a good idea.
We've had some parking issues out there where people park on the grass. Also, kind of remind them that, hey, you can't park on the grass. Please park on the asphalt. Those types of things. So we are going to purchase one of those.
Again, great job. You guys have done a super job, and hats off to you for a great park out there. Moving on to some other things, we've got some other projects here in our township. One of them, I guess, most notable to a lot of folks is the bridge closure on Route 11 south of town. They finally that was delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's been closed for a couple 3 weeks now.
It's been about a little over 2 weeks. Well, actually, by the time, so it's actually getting ready to reopen.
Okay.
So yes, it was scheduled to be about a 3-week project. They did have a couple delays early on where some things they had to re-engineer and this and that in the middle of the project. But I know they've been trying to make up that time by working on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And they've been putting some long days in down there because they realize how critical that artery is. Because that original culvert and bridge was built in the 30s.
Okay.
It's in the 1930s. So it's been a long time. It had aged out.
It's lasted longer than a lot of people.
It's lasted. Yes, it had definitely outlived its useful lifespan. I think it's a good thing. Of course, they were originally scheduled to do this in the spring.
Yeah.
And with the coronavirus, it was delayed. So, all as you know, Governor Wolf halted all construction. That was not spared. So, ideally, if everybody's staying at home, that would have been a good time to do it. But it didn't work out that way. But, it needed to be done. It's probably good to be being done now versus later. And, the nice thing is that box culvert was prefabbed and built off-site.
Yeah.
So it makes the project go a lot quicker when they're not building it in place. So, they brought it in on a truck a couple weeks ago and dropped it in. And, of course, they just are doing the approaches and getting everything buttoned up there. So it looks like it's pretty much on schedule.
All right. And that's right down the road from the ADOE Pile. I don't know if it's called a terminal or transfer station. So how's that going? That looks like it's they've been working on that for quite a while. That looks like
they have. And of course, again, construction with the delays and that, it really put a hamper on that. But that's coming to fruition here. Should be ready to go here in the next few months.
Yeah.
And that's just south of where that culvert is, so it wouldn't really necessarily impact them that much.
That's right.
But it does, and certainly by the time they're ready to open, this other project will be completed, and a lot of things going on down there.
Well, the other project that has been in the works for a while is Exit 3. There's new warehouses. There's a lot of activity there. And of the warehouses that are there, and are they pretty much in place now?
There is some future development still.
Is there? Okay.
There was an announcement just a couple weeks ago. A concern that North Point's done a lot of the North Point in association with the Tapco properties have done a lot of the more recent development of that the Antrim Commons Business Park, which is now stretching more and more south.
Okay.
And they had a plan come through to our zoning hearing board. Had to decide if they wanted to approve a variance on the height. Our current height restriction, and this is anywhere within Antrim Township, whether it be agricultural, commercial, or whatever, is 50 feet.
Right.
And we're coming to the realization that's a bit outdated for some of these newer distribution and warehousing sectors, because with the automation they're starting to use, they like to go higher, more vertical. So,
and you've got some new projects coming in down closer to State Line, I understand, in the cold storage.
Yes, so the United
facility.
States cold storage, they're wanting to build, and that looks like it's going to happen. They did get the variance. They want to go to 125 feet.
Okay.
And that would be located between the Jordan facility, which has been there for many, many years on Hikes Road, and the Norfolk Southern Rail Line. Okay. So they'll just be to the west of that, to the just west of Jordan. And that's a very neat company. They've been in business since the 1800s.
Is that right?
Yeah, they originally started. They give us a little of their history.
They just now realized they should be in Greencastle, Antrim Township.
Isn't that
area,
something?
right?
It took them this long. They started off in the ice business.
Okay, yeah.
So they started, with cutting and selling ice, and of course then expanded into cold storage. And this would actually be, I think, their third or fourth location in the state.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, they're in Hazleton and up that way a little bit in Scranton area.
It's good to have them on board. And we don't know who it is. You can't say yet, but there's another very large facility that's, I guess, tentatively coming in real close to that cold storage project, right?
Yeah, it'd actually be more associated with the business park at Exit 3. So it actually would be the most southern parcel at this point. It would stretch, it's almost 2 million square feet, it's proposed.
Wow. And
they would access, the trucks and that would access it from the Antrim Commons Business Park and come south down through there and access it from the backside. And it would actually stretch pretty much from the 81 Milnor Road, west of 81 Milnor Road, all the way to the Norfolk Southern Rail Line.
I understand what I read in the press, what I did see a few weeks ago. How many employees?
They're looking at 2,000.
2,000. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to say that because I thought that sounds high, but that's what I saw. Yeah.
They would be operating in several shifts, 2 to 3 shifts.
Right.
It'd be a very, very large distribution center. Right. A lot of jobs.
Yeah.
You can't say you live in Greencastle, Antrim, you can't find a job.
No, that's for sure. And I understand from this article I read, it would be one of the largest buildings, if not the largest building in Franklin County?
It would be the largest in Franklin County.
Wow, correct. That's pretty incredible. Yeah. And it's all coming home here in Greencastle, Antrim.
Well, our proximity to I-81 is very key, and
70's not far off.
And it's not far off either. So that intersection, that crossroads is really coming into play. Also, we're getting a lot of attention because the success of the LRTA program.
Yes.
It's important to note, and we've been told this on many occasions, that we wouldn't be attracting these types of businesses without that tax abatement incentive program, which kind of gives them a little bit of a break when they first get here.
And that's over, a 10-year period until they get up to par?
Yes.
Something to that effect. They get a tax break the first year, a little less the next, and eventually they get up to par and paying the full load.
They pay the full amount very quickly. It doesn't take long.
And even someone that wants to enhance the existing business, they can tap into that as well, right?
That's right. They can apply for this if they're willing to enhance or improve their existing commercial business. It's designed for commercial. And this is good because, we want further investment.
Sure.
We want our businesses to stay that we already have.
Right.
This is also a tool we'd use to retain them. We don't want them to leave. Of course, that'll raise the assessment of the property, which in turn brings in more tax revenue specifically to our schools.
And as you add residences, and there have been a lot of new communities pop up in the Greencastle Antrim area, and businesses pop up. The utilities have to keep up with being able to support those businesses and those enhancements. So I know one of the things where you're doing an upgrade right now is the water treatment plant. Not a very sexy topic, but it's something that's necessary and something the township supervisors are looking at for upgrading that water treatment plant, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we actually have we had a study done and some of the enhancements that need to be completed so we can keep servicing more and more of our different customers, especially commercial. Commercial needs a decent amount. So, and the sewer upgrades are always, DEP always wants us to keep enhancing our operations. And there's a lifespan to the water treatment plant also. Wastewater treatment, wastewater and water treatment, but there's lifespans to our digesters and our different presses and those types of things. So they always need to be upgraded and replaced, and a lot of it's ongoing maintenance. But we want to be ahead of the curve so that if we have a really good business or employer that comes to town, we'd hate to have to turn them away because we can't handle the wastewater treatment or the water treatment.
Now, there's several phases for that upgrade at the water treatment plant, right?
There are, yes.
Yeah, and where are they now, and how many are there, and which one are we in right now?
So we're just about ready, actually, to bid out to do some of these things. We've had some estimates of what we think they're going to cost. We've been meeting with our bond counsel about the necessary bonds and financing to finance these upgrades. Good thing is, it's very inexpensive to borrow money right now. So to the users, it won't. The interest rates are very, very, very low. Antrim Township's bond rating is about as high as it can get.
Wow.
Our bond counsel the other day told us it's actually higher than the federal government's. We're at a AAA rating, so he said you're actually a better risk than the federal government is.
Well, you guys,
that's good to know.
You're doing a great job of managing things financially, because there's a lot that goes into that.
There's a lot.
Bond rating, and any one of the items and criteria slips. Yeah, there you go. So you're on your feet. That's great. The Heritage Hills Community Retirement Community, that's something that made a splash a number of months ago. Is that on hold right now? I thought I saw, or where is that?
Well, it's certainly, the pandemic kind of slowed a lot of things down.
Yeah,
when you have attorneys and engineers and that can't work, they're mandated, they can't do anything, things get backed up. So it got backed up a bit. It still is moving forward. We're excited about it because we really have a need for that type of elder care in the Antrim Township Greencastle community. We don't have very much.
I would say there isn't anything like that.
There isn't
in our township.
No, and I think some of the modeling to make the best comparison I can with the desire of the ownership of Heritage Hills is to kind of put a village setting in. They're also expanding the assisted living portion. That's the first phase is expanding the assisted living, and in that, and then they have a cottage plan they've laid out, so it'd be a little bit like a Quincy Village kind of look. Of course, it's located in a great area within our shared use trail that you can walk to get to our Antrim Township Park is adjacent to it. It's right across the street. So we feel, and so do the owners of Heritage Hills, that this is something that's sorely needed. I think the demand for those residences is going to be extremely high.
Do they have a projected time frame when they're hoping to kind of have something, the first phase anyway, at least in place?
I think they would like to be able to they were hoping to break ground, I believe, before wintertime this year, but with everything being pushed back. So it looks like springtime. I think they've already started doing some necessary clearing out there. So maybe even in advance of that. They really want to get moving on some things. They have some financing options they've already established in place. The joke is I don't think they'll be able to build this thing fast enough to accommodate the desire for folks to be in there.
Well, they better get it soon because I'm getting older and I need a place to go.
Well, and not all joking aside, I know several people, and I'm sure you do too, Dave, that their parents and elderly people in the community, when they get to a point where they maybe need personal care or just assisted living or just a cottage, something to downsize to, we don't have anything here. And we've had several people have to leave to go to Quincy Township or Chambersburg area or something like that. So it should be really nice to keep those folks who live in Greencastle Antrim here.
I would think there'd be a big demand for that.
A huge demand.
Apparently they've assessed that, and that's why they're moving forward with that.
That's right.
That's great. I guess something that has been really hot and heavy in the past, and I think it's kind of dormant right now, is the stormwater management, MS4. We were hearing a lot about it, and you and other leaders in our community put a lot of effort into saying, wait a minute, after the assessment was initially made, saying, do we really need to do this? Do we really want it? Can we do this? And so where is that now? That's kind of on hold, I guess, for...
Well, so we kind of took a very aggressive stance. Yeah. The supervisors and the borough council, we got together and did that together collectively, before the end of last year, to say, this is a little bit... This is really going to impact us financially as a community. We really saw a lot of problems with how it was being administered, and if these improvements were really going to do a lot to clean up the bay, so to speak. Of course, subsequently, the borough applied it once again. They were turned down a couple times. They applied again for a waiver, and they were granted that.
Yes.
So they were granted a 5-year waiver. So they have some breathing room.
Right.
Of course, that waiver, 5 years, believe it or not, goes by pretty quick. So, I'm hoping, and I know they're hoping, that there's some adjustments made to this program before they're mandated to do it. Now, Antrim Township did not get a waiver. So right now we are not in compliance with this MS4 mandate. So we're still taking a pretty aggressive stance. We don't want to inflame DEP, and we're trying to avoid some fines on this, but we're really just trying to ask them to sit down at the table with us and come up with a plan that's a little bit more workable and doable, that's more effective.
Well, there was a big public meeting a few months ago at Antrim Brethren in Christ Church where a lot of government leaders and township leaders came together, and they had a hearing. I guess it was an official hearing, right?
It was an official hearing, yes.
So what came out of that? Is there anything that's happened since that?
Well, so interesting. That was almost a year ago.
Is that right?
That was in September of last year. Time does fly. And that was an official Senate hearing. So the environmental arm and committee of the Pennsylvania State Senate was here, and it was recorded. And there were some things come out of that, at least we hope. There was a lot of good discussion there. DEP has not officially acted on a whole lot of those recommendations yet. Again, I think the pandemic may have delayed that a bit.
Sure. That threw a lot of things off the rails.
It really did, yeah.
It sure did,
and I guess in a good respect, at least it seemed like the MS4 went off the radar a little bit with this, too.
Yes.
So, but it will come back, and there's a lot more work to be done on that, Dave.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. Well, there's no rest for the township supervisors. You guys are constantly having to deal with a lot of issues, and I guess as time goes on, it gets more and more complex, more and more difficult to run the township, because you've got more and more of a lot of factors that come into what you have to manage.
Yeah, there is. There is, and of course, unfortunately, volunteerism has been dropping over the years, especially with our emergency services. We did just meet ourselves, the Antrim Township supervisors, along with the borough council, met with the rescue hose company, and unfortunately, they're at a point where they really have a need to hire, for the first time, paid fire staff. They've never had to do that. They've had paid ambulance and paramedics and EMTs for quite some time, but
the fire side,
and so that's going to be expensive, and we're trying to work through that. I think the rescue hose board of directors has been doing a real good job of trying to see what's really needed, and they've been very frugal, and they've been trying to only staff what they feel is needed, but there's going to be significant dollars required from the taxpayers to pay for this.
Right. Well, it's really tough to stay up with things, and I remember I had a cousin. He was president of a fire company up in the Harrisburg area, and he dropped over from a heart attack a number of months ago, and I remember when I went to the funeral that was given to him during this event, all these fire companies from all over came, and I noticed the jackets on one of the fire companies represented said 100% volunteer. And I thought, wow, I'm not sure how they do that, but it's getting tougher and tougher because people's work schedules, they can't get out when the siren is off.
That's right.
And it's just, and the training is more and more extensive as time goes on, and so it's really tough. It's really tough.
You really got to put your hats off to these volunteers, because you touched on something that's really, I think, affected the dearth of volunteers now, and that's the training. talking to some of these folks who used to volunteer and still do, but it started back in the 70s and the 80s. They said you had a little bit of you could jump on the truck after only a few hours. Now you weren't running into a fire. You may be helping with the hoses and hooking those up and that. But now it's to a point you can't even get on that truck until you've had several. I mean, tens and tens of hours, hundreds of hours sometimes in training before you can even get to that point. Right. And you got to think, a younger adult who's maybe 17, 18, 19, 20 years old who'd really like to volunteer and do this kind of thing. If they're faced with so much training in their free time when they're trying to get themselves established, they're working, maybe trying to build a relationship with a significant other, and they're looking at their girlfriend or boyfriend and say, hey, I got to have training every Saturday for the next several months, and every Thursday night, and that's pretty hard to justify. It's a shame because then a lot of these good intentions of these volunteers, they just don't have the time to do it, and it's kind of forced us into this position, and we don't have as many volunteers.
A lot of things going on, a lot of activities of the supervisors. You have a web page folks can go to and see a lot of the activities that's going on. Do you know what that web page is?
I would give you the address, but I don't think anybody really wants to write it down.
Just go to Google.
You go to Google and search Antrim Township, Pennsylvania, and it comes right up.
That's what I do. And it comes up every time.
It comes up a lot quicker that way.
It sure does.
We do post minutes from our meetings on there.
And you record minutes, and those recorded minutes are available on the website as well.
That's correct. Right? Yeah, and we have a lot of questions are answered there, and it's maintained fairly well. It's a good way to get information about what's going on around our community.
It sure is. And I guess the township office, is it back up running?
Yes, we are back at full
now, right?
We are back at full speed.
All right, so
we do have some plexiglass, I guess sneeze guards, for lack of a better term. We ask that we do have some employees, but we have some that are, more in the risk category, so to speak.
That's right. And you're looking at one right here, even though I don't work for you, but
So we ask, if you're not feeling well, don't stop by. But but some people really enjoy coming. If they have to pay their water or sewer bill every quarter, they like to come in and drop it off and have a little visit occasionally, and that's okay.
I like to go in and once in a while just have, when I do something, have a little chat with Joyce. When I was on the school board, I think she was...
she was probably covering you.
She was covering the school board meetings back then in the day.
The Echo Pilot,
Yeah, way back. Any big challenges coming up? We've talked about a lot of things. Any big challenges that are on the horizon that the township supervisors are kind of alerted to that they have to...
Well, there's a lot of challenges. I mean, certainly with this development, while we're excited about it because it adds to our tax base, and that's sorely needed. We've been really aggressive in trying to shift some of these burdensome school and county taxes from our residents more over to a commercial entity. So, with some of these different projects we talked about, they'll bring a significant amount of tax revenue in. But what we also got to make sure is, do we have the infrastructure to support it?
Well, that's the big thing, and that's getting to be more and more of a challenge.
It is. I mean, fortunately, I think we've done a really good job of planning. So when you're accessing some of these properties, most of the traffic, the truck traffic and the employee traffic, will not really impact our roadways quite as much. If you're getting off at exit 3, you're driving right into the business park. So the amount of traffic on Route 11 is very little. If you get off and go right into the business park and access it.
And then you have to interact with some state agencies and
we do.
Externals, and the gears grind slowly in government.
Well, they do, and unfortunately, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is a little strapped when it comes to some of the extra money they have for some of these projects. So sometimes roadway improvements in that, we really have to. We do a lot of interaction with PennDOT and with our Department of Environmental Protection, and certainly our Commerce and Economic Development.
Well, Fred, I think you guys are doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate you being here, carving out your time. I guess as time goes on, it takes more and more of your time. For
it does.
Work,
there's a common misconception that the supervisors only meet twice a month in meetings.
Show up to meetings.
Just show up to meetings, but there's a lot of behind the scenes meetings that happen. Now, of course, you have to do those on a smaller level for transparency reasons. But one or two of us sometimes have to meet with developers and our staff and that to provide additional direction and that outside of meetings. So there's a lot of other things going on.
When are the township meetings? What's the schedule for this?
So our Board of Supervisors meets the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month at our Antrim Township offices in our boardroom, and that's at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Certainly our Planning Commission meets at least once a month. Our Municipal Authority, they meet the last Monday of every month at 7 o'clock. If you want to see what's going on. We always invite the public to come in. The good thing is, if you can't make it to a meeting, as you said, we do audio record them, and we typically have those on our website within about 24 hours after the meeting's closed, and a lot of people do listen to those.
Well, Fred, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
My guest tonight is Antrim Township Supervisor Fred Young. We'll be back next Thursday on Around Your Community. That's at WRGG 93.7 and on the web, WRGG.org. Here at WRGG 93.7, we've got you covered with the best music from the 50s.
Johnny's a joker, he's a bird.
The classic early 60s. The psychedelic late 60s. And into the 70s. We play your music at WRGG 93.7 and on the web, WRGG.org.
Serving Greencastle, Antrim, and southern Franklin County. This is WRGG-LP Greencastle.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks. The White House says President Trump will honor the peaceful transfer of power, but only if he loses an election that he deems free and fair. There were more than 6,600 new COVID-19 cases recorded in Britain today. That's a one-day record high for the country. And the EU says the inauguration earlier this week of Alexander Lukashenko as president of Belarus is illegitimate. It says it's reviewing its relationship with the country.
Banking done your way. It's the power to make life better. It's the convenience of managing funds anytime, anywhere with mobile banking. Even better, it's the satisfaction of working with local pros who are more responsive and in tune with you. That's why today, more families and businesses are choosing F&M Trust. So when you're ready to have banking done your way, visit any of F&M Trust's 22 locations, all right here in South Central PA, and online at fmtrust.bank. Member FDIC.
F&M Trust, a proud sponsor of programming at WRGG.
Hey, Ben, having car troubles?
My car's not running right. Me back on the road again.
I know where you can take it. Dixon Service Center, 260 North Carlisle Street in Greencastle. They're beside the Jerome King Playground. Go see Dave and Paul Dixon for all of your complete auto and light truck repairs. These guys have been doing it since 1977. They can do almost anything.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again.
If your vehicle is giving you troubles, they're the ones to see. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Tuesdays, closing at 3:30. They help with the auction, you know. Call Dave or Paul at 717-597-2010.
I'm Ben Thomas Jr., and I approved this message.
Dixon Service Center, another fine sponsor making the programming of WRGG possible.
WRGG Radio will be holding a shredding event on the parking lot of Sunnyway Foods, Greencastle, Saturday, October 10th. The event will be held from 10 a.m. till 12 noon. It is your opportunity to safely dispose of sensitive papers and documents. Bring up to 5 boxes of items you would like to have shredded. This is a free community service of WRGG, Greencastle's community radio station. However, donations of any amount to help support the programming of WRGG will be greatly appreciated. That's Saturday, October 10th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Sunnyway Foods, Greencastle.
WRGG weather.
Now the weather forecast for WRGG. Clear skies, lower 50s overnight. Hazy skies on Friday, that's due to the western wildfire smoke. Otherwise dry, the high 78. Friday night clear, upper 50s. Mostly sunny with haze on Saturday, the high 75. Clear skies Saturday night, the low 60, and Sunday mostly sunny and warm, the high 83. For WRGG, I'm nowcast meteorologist Chad Merrill.
93.7.
Live from the studios of WRGG 93.7 FM in downtown Greencastle, Mid Penn Broadcasting presents Chalk Talk. On air at WRGG 93.7 FM and online at WRGG.org and MidPennBroadcasting.com. This is Chalk Talk, a program dedicated to Franklin County High School sports. Now, here's Garry Kline and John Freeman.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Chalk Talk for this Thursday night as we are on the eve of the start of the high school football season tomorrow night. John Freeman is with me. Ed Gottwalls will be joining us, possibly Mike Montedoro. And Eric Thomas will be talking with Eric by phone tonight in the 8 o'clock hour. So a full night lined up here on Chalk Talk. And here we are, John. We thought maybe we'd never get to this point, but kickoff is tomorrow night. Huh?
We still have 23 and a half hours. So
Maybe we should.
Don't count your chickens yet.
Yeah.
I mean, what a ride it's been this summer. Even this week, it's still, the governor with the veto of the last week, vetoing the House bill that would have allowed school districts to set their own parameters as far as allowing spectators into the stadiums and the gyms. Based on the vote we saw in both the House and Senate, it looked like the veto would be overridden. Then yesterday, 25 members of the state House decided, we changed our minds. Mainly Democrats trying to curry favor with the governor, obviously, knowing the way our government works. I'm sure maybe some favors were,
I'm sure. You convinced 25 people to change your mind.
It happens in both parties. So we're not being political here. They're all, we all know how they are. I mean, we thought the school districts would have the opportunity to do that, but now they don't. However, the federal court judge in Western Pennsylvania that overrode the governor's edicts and called them unconstitutional, and then he appealed in the state. I mean, it's crazy. Parents just want to watch their kids play football and soccer and run cross country, and we're dealing with multiple votes in the state House and Senate and vetoes and courts, and just because I want to watch my son play football or my daughter play volleyball. But here we are. We've seen this week a lot of school districts have stepped up and change policies to allow, depending on the school district, a varying number of fans. Waynesboro, of course, earlier in the week. And Waynesboro, actually, the only school, only Franklin County school this week that has a home game. So really, your Chambersburgs, Greencastles, even Shippensburg, JB, they're all on the road. So any changes to their policy will, they still have another 7 days to come up with something. But, Waynesboro making the decision to allow 25% occupancy for, in their stadium. I guess they went down and counted each individual seat somehow. I'm not sure how long that took, but they came up with, what was it? I think it was 1,160 or 1,140, something like that. So, and that takes into account players, officials, coaches, everybody on the field and in the press box. So, but at least, the parents will get a chance to see their kids play, and we'll see how long it lasts. I mean, you see, I think a half dozen college games this week were canceled or postponed because of, outbreaks of viruses on different campuses and different teams. So, hopefully we can get, we'll get week one in, it looks like, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yes, it's, Waynesboro, I think they're the most aggressive here that I've seen with that, over 1,000 fans being allowed, except for Altoona. Now, Altoona was doing a 33% capacity.
And that's a big stadium.
Yeah, which is over 3,000. And they said if it worked, they were going to 50% their next home game, which would give them slightly over 5,000 for attendance. And Waynesboro, no visiting fans, though, in Waynesboro. We were talking about that. I'm not sure how that determination is made where you're from.
So tomorrow night, if you are from Shippensburg, don't wear a Shippensburg football T-shirt. Or at least put it on under a sweatshirt, and then you can take it off once you're inside the stadium.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And if they say who you're rooting for, say Waynesboro, and then they'll let you in the stadium.
Yeah, that's it. But it's great to see. That the fans are getting to attend. The parents will get to attend in Waynesboro, and that's been a major issue here, of course. And now Chambersburg, they've laxed a little, but they are allowing a full band, cheerleaders, and then also seniors get 2 tickets, I think, for the game. So theirs is still pretty limited.
And that's a stadium that holds how many thousands of people. So, I mean,
it's probably, it's got to be, 7,000 maybe. I'm not sure.
You can obviously social distance well inside that stadium. So, I mean, but I mean, and we'll see. Like I said, we've been playing it by ear. Schools have been playing it by ear since March. So I guess, what's another week? We'll just keep playing it by ear and adjust as we go along. And, like we said, we'll just keep moving forward and keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best.
Yeah, and Central Dauphin, where Chambersburg plays tomorrow night, I think they're pretty much adhering to that 250 limit.
That's what I saw, yeah.
I mean, I think that, very tight. And by the way, we will have the Trojans game tomorrow on Mid Penn Broadcasting, but it is going to be audio only. Due to live streaming restrictions at Central Dauphin.
Is that because they're live streaming it themselves?
Yes, it is.
And they're probably charging money for it?
Yes, they are.
There you go.
And that's exactly what it is. They've joined the NFHS network, and so we are restricted to audio only for that game tomorrow.
You can sneak a cell phone in your pocket. Put it on Twitter.
Yes, you may do. Yeah, there you go. I could do that, but
you don't want to cause any trouble.
But no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right. So, so it will be audio only. Greencastle is at Susquehanna Township. We'll have video on that one. And, of course, that one is here also on WRGG. And the Blue Devils with a tough opponent at Susquehanna Township. We also have Waynesboro, as we mentioned, Shippensburg is at Wadesboro, and we will have video on that one also tomorrow night. And tomorrow night, East Pennsboro and Northern, they will have a video stream of that game on Mid Penn Broadcasting tomorrow night. And Saturday afternoon, Steel High and Upper Dauphin. So a big weekend of football. Boy, I don't know how Greencastle, John, could have drawn a tougher opponent for their opener with Susquehanna Township tomorrow night.
Yeah, welcome them back to the Colonial Division. Susquehanna Township was in the Colonial back in, 2000, up until I think maybe 2012, 2013,
yes.
Somewhere. In that period. I mean, it's going to be a tough one. Greencastle comes into the season, things haven't been all that great for Greencastle. I mean, you're looking at a team that's 7-33 over the past 4 years. They were 1-9 last year. Haven't won a Colonial Division game in a couple of years. So it's a tough start. But the good news is, I mean, this is probably the strongest returning team we've seen for Greencastle in quite a few years. What was it, 15, 16 starters are back. All the skill positions are back. Zach Cole at quarterback, Adam Root, wide receiver, David Niebauer, running back. A lot of strong, they have some size on the offensive line. So the good news is it's going to be a much better Greencastle team on the football field than we've seen the past couple of years. The only question is going to be I think the Colonial Division is a lot better this year than maybe it was in the past. After all, this is the first year with the transition. Big Spring is gone. Mifflin County is gone. But, like you said, Susquehanna Township's in. East Pennsboro's in. Mechanicsburg is in. So, you kind of balance that out, and I think the competition level may be a little stronger in the Colonial than maybe it was, in the past. So, definitely a much better team on the field for Greencastle, but, conversely, the competition is going to be just as strong.
Yes, and I think it is unquestionably much stronger.
Yeah.
With the three teams you mentioned there, Susquehanna Township, East Pennsboro, and Mechanicsburg. So, yeah, it's a different look to the Colonial Division this year, and yes, it is. Indeed, a lot of tough competition. Plus, you have Shippensburg and Northern in that mix, too. Shippensburg expected to be very good again, and Northern also.
Yeah, 2013 was the last time Susquehanna Township was in the Colonial. They beat Greencastle that year 40-10, according to my numbers. Last time Greencastle beat Township was in 2010. Of course, that great Greencastle 2010 team that went undefeated during the regular season. They beat Susquehanna Township that season 24-16. So yeah, it's good to have Susquehanna Township back on the schedule. Definitely a strong team.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a good test. Like I said, this is a team we expect to see better things, better performances on the field from this Greencastle football team this year, and they're going to have themselves a pretty stern test tomorrow night.
Yes, they are. It's going to be a big test, and yeah, looking forward to it. And I agree, John. I think they're going to be a much better team this year. It appears with a lot of experience coming back. How that equates in the win-loss column, though, remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, with losing those first three games, they would have had Chambersburg week 1. I think week 2 was Lower Dauphin, and week 3 was, I can't remember off the top of my head, because the schedules were all changed this year because it's a new cycle. In the past couple of years, Greencastle had Hanover on the schedule, and they had Camp Hill, and they were able to pick up some wins there. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's the great thing about high school sports is that every year is new, and you start out fresh, and we'll see. It's a case where I think last year we saw Greencastle struggle early in games, fall behind early, and it was just difficult because they weren't really a team built to play from behind. So we'll see. Hopefully they can get off to better starts, and because again we talk about if you're the underdog or you're maybe not quite as talented as the other team, the longer you can hang around, the greater your chance, because if you can get into the fourth quarter and it's a one-score game or a tie game, crazy things can happen, and you can win a lot of football games that maybe you shouldn't have won.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting. Again, we're going to have to see what what Greencastle does if they can. Limit the mistakes, get off to a good, solid start. Who knows? And, be competitive in the second half. Who knows what can happen?
Yes, absolutely. If you could keep it close, you've always got that chance.
Yeah.
You've always got the shot. You get down early and get yourself out of the ball game. Yeah. You're in trouble. But boy, if you can, keep it within a score, anything can happen.
And I want to say this is the first time in maybe 2 or 3 years where Greencastle will have a starting quarterback returning from the prior year. So that's nice. You have that that continuity and a quarterback that in Zach Cole that had started 10 games last year, and he had some success, he had some struggles, but now he's a year older and a year stronger and a year better. And like I said, with you have Adam Root, who's a 6'3" wide receiver who can get up there and get the ball. I think catch radius is the phrase the analytics guys like to use.
You
get the ball near him, and you don't have to necessarily throw it right to him. He can go get it. So that's certainly a plus. But again, we'll see.
Yes, looking forward to it very much. Finally getting this season underway. But a big key early season matchup is going to take place in Waynesboro tomorrow night with Shippensburg and Waynesboro.
Yeah, Shippensburg, they come in as the sexy pick this year. Everybody seems to think they're the front runner for the Colonial Division, and for good reason. They bring back Zach Manning, starting quarterback, and Isaiah Hauser, Anthony Smith, of course, getting a lot of publicity, a lot of press, with multiple Division I offers, Penn State included. So yeah, it'll be a fun team to watch. A lot of people, like I said, expect them to win the Colonial. And likely advance to the playoffs, once again with the playoffs restricted kind of how, as they have been in the past, not only 4 teams are going to make it out of the 5A classification. So, like we said before, you're going to need to win. Well, I was going to say 9. You're going to need to win 9 games because that's always. I'm so used to a 10-game schedule, but. One loss. We'll just put this. We'll go the other way. One loss, any more than one loss, and you're going to run the risk of not making the playoffs. And even if you only lose one game, go 6-1 or 7-1, however many games you have scheduled, that may not be enough because only 4 teams go.
And I mean, you could be undefeated and not be able.
It's
to
possible. Yeah, it's possible based on the power ranking. So the margin for error is very small. So and it's tough because. In the old scenario where you play 10 games and 8 teams or 10 teams would qualify, you could lose a game or two. So the pressure wasn't quite there. You could have an off day or an off week and still comfortably qualify for the playoffs. This year, you got to bring it every Friday night because you don't have a whole lot of chances. And like you said, one loss and you're going to be sweating a lot of nights in the end of October watching those power rankings to see if you can fall in that top 4.
Yes, and also, if you don't play all your games, I mean, you could be doing this, your chances are based on the 4 or 5 games that you may play.
Yeah, I saw something this week. The PIAA met, I think it was yesterday. Usually there's a minimum number of games you have to play to qualify for the state playoffs. And I think they're relaxing that this year simply because, you don't know. Teams could, and through no fault of their own, can lose 2 or 3 games. You're scheduled to play a team on Friday night. They have to postpone for, whatever reason, and you don't get that game made up. It's not really your fault that you couldn't play the game. So I guess, and I think it makes sense. I think you'll see a lot of things like that this year. With such a crazy mixed up season, you're going to see some changes and some, parameters maybe stretched or eliminated, just because, so many crazy things have gone on. But yeah, we'll see. Again, like I said, we're just happy to be here. Happy to be less than 24 hours away from, the opportunity to play sports. I know it's funny because, we're talking about the start of the football season and, soccer starts up over the weekend, field hockey, volleyball, starting up. But, the Mid Penn Colonial Division golf regular season is over.
Yeah, isn't that something? Yes. Boy, that golf season is always short. Yeah, but
it was even shorter this year. You're in the Colonial, you have the 6 schools, so there's 6 events, each school hosting a tournament or however you want to call it. But yeah, the season wrapped up yesterday. They played Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. So they actually got in half the season in 72 hours.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So but now the Mid Penn tournament, I guess, is Monday, and then. Down the road we'll have the District 3 and the the regional qualifiers and then the state meet. But yeah, it was a quick golf season. I think they got it done in like 3 weeks and less than 3, maybe 2.5 weeks. I think it might have been maybe 2 weeks even. And like I said, they went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Good thing these kids are young because I would have playing 18 holes of golf 3 days in a row. I don't think I could do that. I'd be up, but I'm old.
Right. That's a lot. I'm sure they loved every minute of it, John.
They're 16, 17, 18 years old. They could probably play, 36 holes of golf a day for a month and be fine. But old guys like us, we couldn't play 18 holes a day for 3 days.
Yeah, right. Lucky for one day for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But and you mentioned about the other high school sports. They are starting to start. We've had some scrimmages, and you're going to be able to watch in Greencastle. They will be live streaming every event on the school district's website.
It's a YouTube channel. Obviously the link is probably too long to repeat on the radio. But like you said, if you go to the, and I'm not even sure what the Greencastle School District's website address is anymore, but if you just Google Greencastle Antrim School District, it'll take you right there, and go to the athletics tab and all the information you need to know. But every sport, every game will be. I'm not sure about cross country. I'm not sure how you live stream.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Yes,
maybe you'll be out there with a camera running beside the kids. I'm not sure. But
it's hard to do.
Any sport that's done in one location, will be. Maybe they'll have the finish line covered for that. I don't know, but. Your football, soccers, field hockey, volleyball, all that stuff will be live streamed. So you'll get a chance to see it.
And we'll put that link up, too, on Mid Penn Broadcasting.
Yeah, I'm sure it's easy to find. Like I said, if you just Google Greencastle Antrim School District, and then, once you get to the website, go to the athletics page, and it'll be right there.
Yeah, and Shippensburg also doing, we covered a girls or a field hockey today, a scrimmage, and some freshman football yesterday. I think most of their teams are going to be live streaming at Shippensburg. So.
Yeah, I think most, if not all, of the school districts have something set up, whether it's with the National Federation or just their own thing through YouTube, or I think there's other. And some of it's free, some you got to pay.
Yes,
so buyer beware with all that stuff, and make sure you understand all the requirements and restrictions and whatnot.
Yeah. So. Yes, it is. Schools are going to. Some schools, I should say, not all, but are going to the pay-per-view thing,
right.
The NFHS network, and it is, and there's a yearly subscription, or you can do it game by game for the NFHS. And then I've heard of another school going with a different subscription service,
right.
So it's going to be all over the place,
right?
What the schools are doing, so yeah.
Different. I'm sure it'll be, and again, you don't know what the quality is going to be. Again, I don't know. So, but I mean, it could just be nothing more than, for a football game, just a camera posted on a goal post or something.
Yeah, right.
Maybe a camera in the end zone. If you're used to watching, the NFL and the multi cameras and the HD, you're probably not going to get that for this.
Yes.
But it's better than, if you can't get in, at least you get to see something.
So, and yes. And that is the reaction the schools, reaction to, of course, the pandemic and the lack of fans, or very few fans allowed in. So they've all put into place, or are in the process of putting into place, a live stream. James Buchanan is also doing it. They have a YouTube page. They will be live streaming most of their events at James Buchanan's.
I think they're letting fans in. I know there's no fans allowed at the and again, we know Big Spring High School is not allowing visiting fans to attend the game tomorrow with JB. James Buchanan has a girls' soccer game at home. Home and visiting fans are permitted with pre-distributed tickets. Tickets will not be sold at the gate. And just when you go to these games, don't forget, you're gonna have to wear a mask. You're gonna have to stay social distanced. I imagine if you're with your family, you can sit next to your family, but everybody also have to be, at least 6 feet apart. Depending on, everybody has their thoughts and their opinions on masks and whatnot. But it's, if you're going to go to the game, you're going to have to wear a mask. So
yes.
And if you don't like to wear a mask, or you're against a mask, you just don't go to the game.
Yeah. You probably should stay home and watch it.
Right. That would be your best bet.
Yes.
It's not worth the trouble and the aggravation. And, what could possibly end up happening is they'll just, because I know the athletic directors, they have enough going on. They don't want to have to deal with stuff like that. And if it gets to the point where it gets too bad, they'll just be like, no one's allowed in.
Yes.
So don't screw it up.
Yeah. And that's just a reality of it there. It's total reality.
No political statements, just reality.
Yeah. And it is. And we're very fortunate that we're starting to see some fans allowed into venues.
Which is great. 2 weeks ago, we would have thought we didn't think it was even going to happen. But, like you said, we're starting to see schools open up, allowing at least a limited number of fans to start. So, hopefully if things continue to improve and, everybody behaves, maybe more and more fans can be let in as the season goes on.
And yes, and that very well could happen. Of course, it's like it's always been. It's in a state of flux. What happens today may not happen tomorrow. The policy may be totally different. Yeah,
what we're talking about now may be totally different in an hour and 5 minutes when we're done. So
yes, right. Yeah. There could be some changes to it then, but that's the way everything has been since March.
Yeah, depending on how the legislature acts and what the courts do.
Yeah. Isn't this terrible, though? Just to go to a football game or play the sports, everything involves the courts, the legislature, the state government. It is.
It's very tiring.
Yeah. And it's, and that's been all the talk we've heard here for the last 6 months. So, yeah.
It's very tiring and very difficult to keep track of.
It is, because it changes so often. It changes. It's almost impossible to keep track of. And, we have this state college situation. I'm not sure where it is now. Earlier here in the week they were playing. Now I hear they're back to not playing. Then I've also seen on that they have a problem with allowing visiting teams into State College because they don't want them bringing the virus in there. Before, they didn't want State College to travel out of the area, but now apparently that's okay. But I don't think there's a final decision yet, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the risk of people bringing the virus into State College would be, considering the fact that it's already there from all the college students that are back.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, I'm not sure either. So, the college students are there, but that's what they were talking. So, we will take a break here, and we'll be back with more. Eric Thomas is going to join us here in the 8 o'clock hour tonight on WRGG 93.7 FM.
Just a dream.
Okay, stand by here. We're trying to get into the top of the hour, and so far that has not worked out. Let's try it here again.
High above the broadcast house in downtown Greencastle, we are 93.7 WRGG LP Greencastle.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks. The White House says that President Trump will honor the peaceful transfer of power in Washington, but only if he loses an election that he considers free and fair. On Wednesday night at the White House, he sparked controversy by failing to confirm that he will transfer power to Joe Biden if he loses November's election. Now, his press secretary Kayleigh McEnany is accusing the reporter who asked the original question of being deranged, but she eventually conceded a transfer of power is possible.
The president will accept the results of a free and fair election, but I think that your question is more fitting to be asked of Democrats who have already been on the record saying they won't accept the results of an election.
In fact, Democrats have not said that. On Capitol Hill today, Republican leader Mitch McConnell insisted the traditional constitutional arrangements will be followed after the election. The Democrat Speaker of the House of Representatives is Nancy Pelosi.
But that a president of the United States would place in doubt the idea of the peaceful transfer of power is, it's no surprise, again, because the president has been contemptible.
At the Supreme Court today, protesters jeered and urged the defeat of President Trump this November as he was there paying his respects to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She is lying in repose at the building where she worked. The White House called the jeering appalling and disrespectful. In other news, a 26-year-old man is in custody in Louisville, Kentucky, following the shooting of 2 police officers during overnight protests sparked by the state's decision not to bring criminal charges against an officer who shot and killed 27-year-old Breonna Taylor. From FSN's Washington Bureau, Nick Harper reports.
A state of emergency and curfew in Louisville had already been put in place. The 2 police officers who were shot during the demonstrations overnight have non-life-threatening injuries. Kentucky's Attorney General said the 2 officers who shot Ms. Taylor, killing her, were justified in their actions.
In Britain today, more assistance has been unveiled for businesses. The government says it will continue to top up the wages of workers for months to come in an effort to stop mass unemployment due to COVID-19. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, made the announcement in Parliament.
For at least the next 6 months, the virus and restrictions are going to be a fact of our lives. So, as our economy and labour market adapts and evolves to this new normal, our plan needs to adapt and evolve as well.
There were more than 6,600 new COVID-19 cases in the UK today. That is a one-day record high. The European Union says the inauguration of Alexander Lukashenko as president of Belarus earlier this week is illegitimate, and the bloc says it's reviewing its relationship with the country. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
For more than 3 decades, Mikey's Ice Cream, a proud supporter of WRGG, has been a local favorite. For a delicious sandwich, a quick tasty snack, or a refreshing drink, and your favorite flavor of ice cream will taste better in a Mikey's homemade waffle cone. With a relaxed family atmosphere, Mikey's Ice Cream and Green Cow Gift Shop is conveniently located at 179 South Antrim Way, Greencastle.
The signs are everywhere. Down the street, near your office, across from the school. You can't avoid them.
Honey, maybe we should use RE/MAX to sell our house.
RE/MAX in Greencastle offers the finest real estate experience. In fact, RE/MAX has the #1 market share and sells more houses than any other company. To find an agent in your area or an agent looking to make a change, visit RE/MAX.com or contact your local RE/MAX office in Greencastle. RE/MAX in Greencastle. Outstanding agents, outstanding results.
Set the dial on the Wayback Machine. Crank up your radio. It's rock and roll in the rearview mirror. Tune in next week when we take a look back at this week in rock and roll history.
This Week in Rock and Roll History. Saturdays at 2 p.m. and again at midnight on Greencastle Antrim's 93.7 WRGG.
WRGG weather.
Now the weather forecast for WRGG. Clear skies, lower 50s overnight. Hazy skies on Friday, that's due to the western wildfire smoke. Otherwise dry, the high 78. Friday night clear, upper 50s. Mostly sunny with haze on Saturday, the high 75. Clear skies Saturday night, the low 60. And Sunday, mostly sunny and warm, the high 83. For WRGG, I'm nowcast meteorologist Chad Merrill.
The number you have dialed, 93.7 FM, also streams live on the internet at WRGG.org. Please make a note of it.
WRGG.
Welcome back, everyone, to Chalk Talk for this Thursday night. And we are pleased to be joined tonight by the voice of the Central Dauphin Rams. We're talking Eric Thomas. Good evening, Eric.
Hey, guys. Great to be with you again.
Oh, yeah. Great to have you here, Eric. And wow, what a ride we have been on with all this. And I can't believe we're finally ready to play football tomorrow night.
It's almost like a giant weight has been. I mean, I've been watching these games, you know, all over the state, like in Pittsburgh, watched a little bit of Lancaster Lebanon League last weekend, and it's like, I've said this a couple other times during the last couple of weeks. The Mid Penn, I don't think, did a great job. I think they should have started last week. I'm grateful we're going to play. But they really, I think, needed to go on the 18th to get as many games in as possible. It's a shame that some of these schools are going to lose that game on October 30th if they make the playoffs. But, I mean, finally we're here. It's just going to feel – I know no fans are going to be there. There's going to be no tailgates. It's just going to feel awesome to be somewhere in the stadium tomorrow night.
Oh, yes, it is. It's going to be great, and just to see high school football. And you mentioned no fans at all at Central Dauphin, correct?
Yeah, there was some talk maybe that might change because of the governor's the appeal that he's in the middle of right now and all that. But they put a release out last night stating no fans at all.
Okay, so it is. And as you know, Eric, we've seen some schools from around the state and even around our area increasing capacity. The most here in this area is Waynesboro, who will be allowing over 1,000 fans tomorrow night, 25% capacity.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm a proponent of let at least the parents in. I can understand if schools are hesitant to have, 5,000 people, 6,000 people, whatever. I get it. I mean, there's liabilities and, you don't want people turning around and coming after the school or whatever for, God forbid, getting sick or something. But, to at least let the parents in the building, I think it's a little wrong on some of these districts' parts to not really accommodate the parents. These are possibly the last times they're ever going to see their kids play sports. Let them in the building. I mean, if we're talking, a max of 200 people in addition to the 250 between the two teams, then I don't see a reason why you can't make that work. I mean, these stadiums are big enough. Chambersburg certainly is big enough. Central Dauphin is certainly big enough. most of the Mid Penn schools, at least in the upper tier classifications, are big enough to accommodate, enough people to spread out. CD is going to allow some band members, some cheerleaders in the building tomorrow night, but I mean, parents aren't even allowed to go up to the fence and watch. They can't tailgate in the parking lot. They can't sit in the parking lot, wait for the game to be over. It's unfortunate. I mean, I've talked to a lot of parents the last couple of weeks, and every one of them have asked me, like, hey, is this going to change? And my answer is, it's not my call, because if it was, you guys would all be there. I think they need to at least figure out a way to accommodate parents at some point.
Eric, I totally agree. Without question, when you deny the parents a chance to see their children play, there is something just wrong about that.
I get, like, look at what State College is doing tomorrow night. So State College, from what I understand, is going to play next week against Central Dauphin. They're going to be back in their building next week learning, so that's the big key with them. They're having a scrimmage tomorrow night, and they're actually, tonight at their practice, they gave seniors 3 tickets. And they're going to test out a method by which they can at least let parents or family members in the door, and see if that works. And if nothing bad comes out of that, then they're going to go forward for their home games with limited people there. It's what Ohio's done. Ohio gives 3 tickets to every band member, every cheerleader, every football player. They've had in excess of about 1,200 people at some of these games. And, I used to live in northwestern Ohio, so I still follow a lot of the teams out that way. And I've read one story about anybody going to those games and getting sick. So there's ways they can do this, and there's ways they can make it work. But, until somebody kind of takes that plunge, I don't know that we're going to see a change much over the first couple of weeks. Yes, I know. And I agree there's ways to do it. And you were talking about State College, and John and I were here. We were talking. This thing has gone so back and forth. I never know where they stand with State College. It was not playing, then playing. At one time, I think we had State College wasn't traveling. Then I saw yesterday they were concerned about other schools traveling to State College to play. As far as I know, they are. Now, obviously, it's a fluid situation. This could change tomorrow for all we know. But as of today, around 4 o'clock, I was told by somebody who is very close to that school, not necessarily the program, but the school, that said they were going to be back in building next week. The condition by the school board was if they were going to play, they had to be in the building. So as far as we know right now, they will be at Landis Field next Friday night. We'll see if that sticks. And, yes, let's hope so. Let's hope so. And we have so many other issues here, too, with the playoffs beginning October 30th. We cannot afford too many cancellations along the way, or teams are only going to get a few ball games in. Eric, the other thing that I look at is, let's look at Central Dauphin's case, just because we're talking about, these 2 teams for tomorrow night. Yeah. They did not get to play Wilson. They did not get to play Manheim Township. They did not get to play Berks Catholic. They did not get to play Harrisburg. If they make the playoffs, they will not play Cumberland Valley. So that, to me, puts an emphasis on tomorrow night's game, obviously, and it puts an emphasis on having to play State College next week, because, quite frankly, are you getting, and this is no offense to them, but are you getting ready for the playoffs by playing Carlisle or Altoona? You're not. So, if you're going to go up against some of these teams in the playoffs eventually, like a Wilson or a Manheim Township, you got to have the quality competition. And a lot of these schools not only are not going to have full seasons, but look at who's missing Harrisburg. Look at who's missing whoever in the non-conference schedule. I know Ed Gottwaltz wrote a great piece, the preview for Chambersburg, for the website the other day. And Mark Luther said, we're going to schedule extra games if we don't make the playoffs. They want to play Greencastle. There's, natural geographic rivals and things like that. You have to have, to me, a certain balance in your schedule of games where maybe you're going to be a heavy favorite, but games where you're not. And for the defending district champs, they don't have a lot on their schedule outside of tomorrow and next week if they play State College. Yes, it is. So, obviously you want to be ready when you get to the playoffs, because, you're going up against the best there, and you have that reduced field. So, it really is, number one, going to be hard to get in. And the competition early on is going to be strong. It is, and you already have a Chambersburg team who's had 2 really good years. They're at a disadvantage for not having their scrimmage last week. For that whole issue. I mean, Carlisle's going to miss games here. Not that I think they're going to be a playoff contender anyway this season, but, there's so many different – Glenn McNamee told me repeatedly this week, he goes, do you understand how thin the ice we're skating on is? And I'm like, I get it, but, you just kind of have to go. You just have to go. That's it. I mean, you have to go and control what you can control and, hope you get the 5 games in, hope you get in the playoffs. And I at least like the fact that it looks like it's going to be somewhat of a full playoff bracket with some of these Philly teams coming back. We still don't know what's going on with St. Joe's Prep yet, but I can't imagine if they haven't started yet that they're going to be able to get enough CIAA teams to come back and defend their title. But if that's the case, that opens the door. It's wide open, and it's going to be fun. It's just going to be tricky getting through all that fun. I mean, so many things have to happen to make sure we get this done right. But as long as the schools, keep doing what a lot of them have been doing the last couple months, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yes, and Eric, I think they have done very well here with this, really across the board.
Seems like whatever has gone wrong, let's take Chambersburg's case, for instance. Okay, so they couldn't play their scrimmage last week against Hershey. It didn't seem like when I talked to a couple people Saturday, it didn't seem like it was that debilitating to the program. They weren't in the building anyway. The student hadn't been around the team. We all know the story, but it just seemed like everything that's been thrown at these programs, they've been able to kind of beat back. I mean, Central Dauphin was fortunate. They had a COVID scare because of a graduation party. No football players were there. So, I mean, there were football players there, but none of them ended up getting sick. So, there's been times where people, and I think we all kind of do this, where you kind of have towed the line a little bit during this whole thing because you want to go and do things and you want to kind of be normal and have your routine and all that kind of stuff. And everybody, for the most part, has been pretty fortunate. There was one school early on that I think, a whole skill group was unable to practice, but they got through that pretty quick.
Yes. So, fortunately, and hopefully they will be able to get through it. And that along the way you are going to have going to have some cases out there.
You got to be ready for anything this year. I mean, it's as simple as that. You got to be ready.
Right.
Think about it. You got to be ready for injuries. You got to be ready for no fans. You got to be ready for a game to be canceled. I mean, we think that State College is coming down here next week. We think they're going to play.
Yeah.
But if something goes wrong on Monday, maybe they're not. I don't know. I said this to somebody yesterday. They said, are you excited about getting back to, doing the game on Friday night? I said, I can't wait to, every year I get excited to do these games, but it's this year it's been magnified just because we haven't been there for the first 4 weeks. But I said, I just want to get to Friday at 5 o'clock because then I know everything is good.
Yeah, right.
Even tomorrow at noon, I'm going to be sweating that a little bit, but I just want to get to 5 o'clock when I'm about to walk in the front gate, and then I know everything is cool.
Yeah, I was going to say it's almost at the point now where until they kick the ball off at 7 o'clock, you're always going to be concerned whether or not you're going to be able to play the game.
Yep. That's just it's the nature of the beast this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Till they kick that thing off, who knows?
Yeah, because, Greencastle had a scrimmage scheduled for last Friday against Lower Dauphin, and that was called off at the last minute. I mean, Chambersburg, I think they called their scrimmage off early to mid-afternoon. I think it was around 5:30 when Greencastle found out that Lower Dauphin wasn't coming for their scrimmage. So they ended up just having an inter-squad event, where they played against each other. But, yeah, I mean, you said about, Monday morning something could happen and the game could be called off. I mean, I'd be scared tomorrow morning. I wouldn't shock me somewhere, if tomorrow morning we hear something where a game has to be postponed. But, yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Very possible without, especially without, like the colleges are doing with the testing every day or every week or a couple times a week. The schools just don't have that capability. So you're right. It could be a case of, a kid tells the coach tomorrow, hey, I don't feel right. And, you don't know. But, it's a fluid thing. It's like injuries. It's like anything else. We guys, we broadcast. We know anything can possibly go wrong on a Friday night with the equipment, not sounding right.
And it does most of the time.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We just got to be ready for anything starting tomorrow night.
Yes, it is. That's what all we could do at this point, Eric, is just, take it as it comes. It's
Yeah, and really, obviously it's a very serious situation, but really sometimes all you can do is just laugh because, things change. Gary and I were talking about, this is going to happen, but, check back tomorrow, things could change. Literally, we're off the air in 45 minutes and, things could totally flip on their head. sometime in the next 44 minutes before we go off the air. So, again, it's just been a wild ride this summer, between, the court rulings and the state legislature and vetoes and vetoes not being overridden. I'm just thrilled that we're less than 24 hours away from playing football, and let's get it going, and we can hopefully forget about all the other stuff at least for a couple of hours on a Friday night.
That's the key thing. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better than that. It's we get a chance to escape from this nutty society we're in for at least a couple hours. I mean, don't have to worry about it at all. Tomorrow, I'm on the golf course Saturday. I ain't gonna worry about it when I'm out there. It's just get me away from this stuff for a couple hours.
Yeah. It's awful, Eric, that we got to sit here and wait for the latest government ruling to see what we can do. It's just, I'm just so fed up.
And it seems like, I mean, listen, I'm not shy about the fact I don't like Governor Wolf. I can't stand the man. But it just seems like there's just no willingness to kind of even lean towards the other side. Like, why is he so vehemently against parents being allowed to attend a football game or a soccer match? I mean, really, soccer we can't say because the crowds aren't that big for those, so they can go. But why is he so vehemently against parents attending the football game? But I can go to the local winery here and there's 10,000 people there over the weekend and nobody cares. Or there's something else happens or whatever within, but it's okay if there's 5,000 people in an event or 5,000 people over here, but 200 or 300 can't go to a football game. It just makes no sense to me, and it makes no sense that he's really just been completely unwilling. Football, if anything, when this whole thing started, we were told if you're outside, you're fine. The sunlight's going to kill it, which we all know is not 100% accurate right now. What is wrong with people spreading out on metal bleachers and sitting 6 feet apart, unless you're with your family, and watching a family member play a game? It irks me, and it really bothers me at my core that he's just completely unwilling to even bend that much to accommodate people who, by the way, voted for him, voted for his colleagues, vote in districts where it's heavily Democratic parties and things like that. He just is completely unwilling to abide by what some of these constituents want, and that to me is it's a disgraceful job, to be completely honest.
Eric, I couldn't agree more. I've got to say it is, and it is so confusing a lot of times of what you can and cannot do. We're so heavy on themes with our games at Central Dawson. Like tomorrow night, always one of the first games is the Gold Star family game or Gold Star Moms game. That's something that these kids look forward to. They all play for a fallen soldier. The families are there. The players get to interact with the families. They have a dinner for them the night before. It's a big event. They announce the players, the person they're playing for instead of their name during the game and all that. They're going to do that tomorrow night at the stadium. Those families can't come in. I mean, that's a lot of them, need, we're talking about parents, but I mean, like even people who some of these things are built around, they need that outlet to be there and kind of let the emotions out. And, his statement yesterday about everything being meaningless, I mean, sometimes you just want to punch a wall. I mean, when you listen to him speak, you just want to punch a wall. Because to say that that's meaningless, to say that your family and watching your son or daughter or whatever, parents go to see the band members, they go to see the cheerleaders, they go to see the football players, to say that those things are meaningless, I mean, that to me is just a completely it's a sickening statement. I mean, who says that kind of stuff? Who says that a family wanting to support a kid playing sports is meaningless? I mean, that guy, he's lost. He's out in left field, literally and figuratively, and he has no concept for reality or anything going on or how important these events are to these communities and these kids.
Yeah, this probably makes me a bad citizen, but I've tuned all that stuff out just because it is so frustrating and it just drives me nuts that, I just want to get away from it. I mean, I understand, it is. It's just, it does make you want to punch a wall at times. Yeah. And it's like, my blood pressure gets so high. It's like, enough. I'm just going to walk away. I'm not going to listen to any of this stuff because, it does. It's frustrating. As a parent who's had a couple of kids graduate over the past few years who were, athletes, it is something you enjoy doing. And, if this would have happened 2 years ago, I don't know what it would have been like. It would have been different. It would have been almost impossible. And, you feel so bad.
I just talked to a parent tonight of a band member. We happen to be at the same the same spot tonight for something. And, she said, hey, I can't go see my daughter play in the band tomorrow night. And, I mean, even that, like, you're not going to, I mean, maybe your daughter doesn't stand out in a band of 100 or 150 kids or whatever, but you know that she's a part of something and you're there to support that. And according to the guy that runs our state, that's meaningless. I mean, I don't have kids. I played sports growing up. My parents were always supportive of when I played, but to put myself in that position, if I was going to hear that from somebody and somebody tell me that me going to support my kid is meaningless, I'd probably say a couple things that would get you guys some FCC fines. I know that.
Yeah. and now, again, like I said, I've been tuning all this stuff out, and then to hear you say that, now my stomach's starting to churn, and I can feel my heart beating faster.
Exactly.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but it is crazy. And who would have ever thought, who in the world, that we would even be discussing this kind of thing 6 months ago?
Yeah.
I thought by summertime we were going to be fine.
Yes.
It was going to be not necessarily just up and vanish, but I mean that we'd have a better grip on it. And it seems like the spiral is just a never-ending slide. Just every single day it just seems like you keep going down that spiral.
Yeah. It's back and forth. It's up and down. When you think you're making progress, something happens to turn that around. So yeah, it's
well. But we get it turned around for a couple hours tomorrow night. That's the key.
That is. Hey,
that'll be nice.
It stays this week this way for the next 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. And Eric, what's Central Dolphin? Of course, last year, big year. What do we look like this year? A normal Central Dolphin team. We know they're always good. We know they're always going to be there.
This team, to me, I think they're the most talented that I've seen in the 10 years that we broadcast this game. I'm an alum. I mean, I've been around the program forever, but they may not have the names. They may not have the five-star guy like a Micah Parsons, but I have not seen a team with this program faster than this one. I've not seen a team that's more aggressive than this one, and that includes last year, and you could pretty much say those guys were headhunters last year. They thrived on hitting guys. They wanted to be physical with guys. This team is built the same way, which is kind of scary. They've got the biggest offensive line they've ever had. They have depth at their offensive line. I think they have the best quarterback in the district, if not one of the best in the state. He's not getting a lot of notice in Max Mosey. He's bigger, he's stronger, he throws a better deep ball this year, if you can believe that. Their defense needs rebuilt. Their line up front, the left side of their line is good. The right side is young. But the key is the two guys that start on the right side, Ben Stewart and Kyle Yeager, they had to play in the game at Cumberland Valley last year on the road when they were 1-2, and they won that game. So that was kind of a turning point for the team, and it got those guys some much-needed experience, so I think that helps. Their defensive front four needs rebuilt, but I'm telling you guys, they have so much speed in the back end of that defense with their linebackers, especially outside, and their secondary is very, they may not be the greatest tacklers or most physical kids, but man, are they fast. And I think if you watch this program, I think you're going to have a lot of fun watching them this year. Might not be good news for some of the opponents.
Yeah.
But I will say this.
Yeah.
If Malachi Blair is what he is, and he's a running quarterbacks have caused a lot of problems for CD over the last couple of years. That'll be something to keep an eye on tomorrow.
Yes, he is. And, much like Brady Stumball ran the football a lot for Chambersburg out of that quarterback slot, and expect to see a lot of the same from Blair.
Yeah, I think CD's going to prepare for it. I mean, Kane Everson chewed them up a couple times that he played against them. They've had problems stopping quarterbacks or even scramble. So it's going to be curious. I'm going to be curious to see how much Mark Luther puts in his hands right away. I guess it'd be more Gary Carter what he puts in his hands, but it's good Chambersburg team, I think. I mean, they have a lot of experience. I love Jaden Jones. I think he's a great player. Vessa's been a great player. The line, at least when I look at the roster, looks like it's pretty good size, but young. So this is going to be an interesting test. I mean, both teams have a disadvantage. I mean, CD obviously couldn't scout them because there's no Chambersburg scrimmage film. Chambersburg, meanwhile, could, but CD played last week and Chambersburg didn't. So all that stuff washes out. We find out tomorrow night who wants to come out in what's now week one and just set a tempo for it.
And for Chambersburg, they've had one win, and I don't know if I have the exact number, 24, 25 years with Central Dauphin. They won in 2013, so the Rams definitely have had the upper hand here in this series.
No, they have, and what you guys would know this too. I mean, what made that Chambersburg team so good was they were a lot more physical than what they'd been in the past, and they showed up that night and they slugged Central Dauphin in the mouth, and that was not the most talented CD team, but they really got hot towards the end of the year, and I thought they would have made a better run in the playoffs, but they were so much more physical, and even last year to a degree. I mean, Chambersburg was right in that game at the end of it. So, I mean,
yes.
They had to push teams, and that was sort of like their story all last year. Was they'd get to a certain point in a game, they just couldn't quite get over that hump. They lost the lead, Harrisburg, Wilson, whatever. But I think that this Chambersburg team just looks like it needs to grow up a little bit. I'm not 100% sure I'd want to try to grow up game one against this team.
Yes,
but,
I agree.
I think they're going to be talented. I think they have a shot to compete for playoffs, no doubt.
Yeah. I think there's some talent there. Now, they did have a lot of graduation losses last year, and lost a lot of starters. But it appears they have a pretty good cast coming back here for Chambersburg. So it should be very interesting for the Trojans. And I'll tell you, we're just happy with what's happened the last few years. After all those down years for Chambersburg, that the Trojans are back playing competitive football once again.
You have a guy in Mark Luther who understands how to run a program because he's been a college coach.
Yeah.
You have an assistant coach in Gary Carter who knows how to run a program because he's been a college coach. When you bring those elements to a program that needs to be basically built from the ground up, and the kids buy in, it's nothing but. I mean, this team is going to be good. I think the next couple of years. This isn't just like a 2-year thing. I mean, they may not be 9-1 this year.
Yeah.
But I think in the next couple of years, I mean, I just look at some of the names and see some of the talent, that's on this team and think to myself, this team is not going away anytime soon. I mean, they're going to be in the mix for the playoffs every year, at least for the next couple of years. It seems like there's enough talent there now. Mark Luther's developed that. The weight room's developed better. He's got things cooking. I really respect what he's done because he's changed the whole complexion of that team. And I like Mark Saunders too. I thought he was a great guy. He was always very good with us and helping us out to get ready for these games. But I just, even just in the brief email exchanges or maybe like on a Friday before the kickoff or whatever, I just sense a different mentality with Mark Luther, and a lot of that comes from the fact that he's been a college coach, I think.
Yes, he's been a college coach and very successful at turning the Trojans program around. And I agree with you. Mark Saunders, I thought, was, very good too. Mark Saunders, he did not have the horses in the years he did for a few years back, I guess it was in
2013.
Yeah, 2012, 2013. They put a very respectable records up both of those years. But, Chambersburg has been down, for the most part, other than that stretch. For many years. It was back in the 1990s. I mean, they were the powerhouse, but it went downhill. And it seems like, Eric, when it goes downhill, it takes a long time to get it back.
I looked this up the other day, getting ready for tomorrow night. From 2000 to 2016, the team was 44 and 120.
Yeah, wow.
And you're talking about that's before, that includes Mark Saunders' 2 seasons, and that's before Mark Luther arrived. And then when he gets there, they go 1-9, and you're thinking, oh God, yeah. I mean, here, are we going to get out of this? So, I mean, we all saw this, I think, coming from a distance, from a Central Dauphin standpoint. I remember coming off the field down there a couple of years ago, and one of the assistant coaches told me when we were at dinner that night, he said that team's going to be really good in a couple of years because they were tougher than what we thought they were going to be. They were tougher than what they were last year. And this was on a team that Mark Luther had that was 1-9. So, yes. I mean, I think a lot of people saw this starting to develop. And, I mean, hey, kudos to them. They've got the facilities. They've got the great athletic department. I'm personally glad they got this thing up and running because you're right, back in the 90s, that was the team we couldn't beat, in CD. I mean, they used to thump us every year, even when we were good.
Yes. It was, and it's we're glad, and I think it's good for the Mid Penn Commonwealth too. The more competitive and strong teams you have in the division, the better it is for everybody.
You know, and I'll tell you, it's a great point, and I'll tell you, I see some of the same elements with what Mark did to start things out when he got there that is going on in Altoona right now, too.
Yeah.
They were very, very upbeat last year, even though they didn't win a lot. You know, one of their coaches told me last year that the previous regime didn't let them even hit in practice, so they were not physically ready for games on Friday night. And you start seeing some of the things that, you know, especially like from a JV level or a ninth grade level, there's some similar trends starting to develop there. So I think you're right. And once that program gets good, and if Carlisle can manage to string together something like they had, like when Billy Berger was there and some of those guys, then I think that, I mean, it's one of the best divisions in the state already.
Yeah.
But if those two teams can just kind of follow the right blueprint, I think this has got a chance to be maybe the best division in the state, no question.
Yes, I would agree, and it is. And Altoona, there's another school with a great football tradition. I mean, over the years, just absolutely outstanding history, and they've fallen on tough times, much like Chambersburg for a while.
I do. I mean, I agree with people who tell me that, though. I've seen some of the things starting to boil there a little bit. So,
yep.
Don't be surprised if they give somebody a rumble this year, and maybe a game that they shouldn't, or they keep something a little closer. I see some of the same elements there that Mark Luther developed at Chambersburg. So it's there. It just needs the right person to put the right work in. Chambersburg's found that out, and he probably doesn't want to hear me say this because I'm sure he wants to. I don't know what Mark Luther thinks about, 20 years down the line, but I hope he's there for a long time.
Yes.
I hope he builds something up like the Fulmers and everybody else before him that can build the thing up.
Yeah, that would certainly be great. Hey, Eric, thanks a lot for joining us here. Always great having you on the show. So,
guys, let me say real quick, congrats on adding the teams this year, too. Steel High, those other teams, East Penn.
Yeah.
That's a much-needed service that everybody in this area needs, so I'm really glad you guys were able to put that together this year.
Yes, we are very happy about it, too, and we would have liked to take it a little further. The Steel High with playing on Saturday afternoons is a perfect fit for us. So, that's
a community that thrives that kind of stuff. One of their reps voted against that bill yesterday, against the veto yesterday. They're not happy about it. That's a very tradition-rich place. You guys are going to have a lot of fun around that.
Yes, I certainly will. Okay, Eric. All right, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow night. We'll be there, but we'll probably be on the other side of the field. So, yeah.
Have a safe trip up, guys. Always appreciate the time, and thanks for having me on.
Okay, nice. Thank you, Eric. That's Eric Thomas, who is Harrisburg sportscaster. He does Central Dolphin football, Shippensburg University football, works for NFHS, pretty active. And
you can wave to him from across the field.
And you can wave to him, and exactly, from a long distance. Yeah. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hook up with Mike Montedoro. And
that sounds like fun.
Yes, and we'll check in with Mike, and that's coming up next on WRGG.
The Greencastle Antrim community. We are WRGG LP Greencastle.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. The leader of the Republican Party has insisted there will be an orderly transition of power after the presidential election. Another night of protests is expected in Louisville, Kentucky. 2 police officers were shot during protests on Wednesday night over the decision not to prosecute the officers who killed African-American Breonna Taylor. And the European Health Commissioner has issued a dire warning over a spike in coronavirus infections across the bloc.
If you want the highest quality, locally grown fruits and produce nature will allow, and so much more. Tracy's Orchard, 12483 Hollowell Church Road in Greencastle, 717-597-7565. They also have 19 varieties of apples, 18 varieties of peaches, and lots of other fruits and vegetables, all locally grown. There's nothing better than their homemade goods, jams, jellies, pie fillings, ciders, and freshly baked pies made with their products. Tracy's Orchard, stop on by.
Tracy's Orchard, helping to sponsor the programming on WRGG.
Hey racing fans, this is Mike Donald
and Mike Kirshner,
and we're with On Track with Mike on 93.7 FM WRGG for the best regional asphalt and dirt track racing coverage. Make sure you tune in to us every Tuesday night beginning at 6.
Our 90-minute show is brought to you by...
Planning to buy or sell your home soon? Put Dave Friedrich's 14 years of combined real estate and mortgage lending experience to work for you, and yes, he'll be happy to talk to you about his 16 years of dirt track racing in his number 66 race cars. Give him a call at Caldwell Banker Real Estate Brokerage at 301-730-3514.
T.A. Ward Construction of Greencastle, Pennsylvania. Nearly 40 years experience. He is fully insured and a military veteran. Call Todd for all your home improvement needs at 717-331-4974.
And Mark Hoffman at Mark's Estate and Salvage Auctions in College Park, Maryland. He specializes in complete cleanouts and auction services. Check him out online at marksestateandsalvageauctions.com. Mark is the quintessential estate and salvage entrepreneur. Give him a call at 240-205-8577.
Join us for On Track with Mike every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
as we drop the green flag for our 90-minute show on 93.7 WRGG.
Hi there! Friday nights at midnight.
The Wax Museum.
Saturday nights at 10 p.m.
The Wax Museum.
Half a century of rock and roll from the back of the rack.
Then it all came rushing back to me like the hot kiss at the end of a wet fist.
The Wax Museum.
On 93.7 WRGG.
It's electric.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Chalk Talk, and joined now by Mike Montedoro. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Gary. Thank you so much for having me on this evening.
Oh, always great to have you here, Mike. Always. Here we are. Finally, we're talking playing some football tomorrow night.
Yeah, we're excited about it. We can get through tomorrow night, right?
Yes, yeah, most definitely yes.
Well, it's official. One fall sport has ended, so golf is over. We got through golf without any hiccups.
Yeah. Yeah, all of 3 weeks. Yeah. Or two.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so it...
is Ed still with you?
Ed, actually, I have not seen Ed tonight. He was...
Okay.
Yeah, we thought he was coming in, so, but I don't know if he would.
Do we know if Carlisle won their the Commonwealth in golf?
I have not heard. I don't know.
I found it interesting that they closed school on Tuesday. They made an announcement that they closed school and canceled all extracurricular activities. They're not playing football this weekend, but they sent their kids to golf on Wednesday.
That's a fairly social distance sport, I think. So
yeah, but
right. But when you cancel all extracurricular activities, then somebody was thinking that I think if they won on Wednesday, then they would be the division champ. So I was curious to see if they were able to pull that off.
I'm not sure. I know Waynesboro is the Colonial Division champ, and ending the long reign of Chambersburg. Of course, Chambersburg is gone from the Colonial. Actually, Waynesboro won it last year, too.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter how you win it.
Yeah, well, Waynesboro won it last year, too, didn't they?
I think maybe they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they won it last year.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So 2 years in a row.
Yeah, Chambersburg's long run.
They're going to start a dynasty.
Yeah.
It appears that way.
Yeah, at least they've got 2 years in on it. Yeah.
Like their state championships in gymnastics.
Yeah,
and I don't know if the golf team is wearing Hershey Dreams T-shirts or not, but they may consider it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they still have a couple of boxes of them in the closet, and Kagan keeps promising to get us some, and I haven't seen any yet.
He's letting us down.
Yeah,
he's letting us down.
I would love that.
Yeah.
When's your birthday, Mike? We'll get you one.
Yeah.
No, November 4th.
We'll get one by November 4th.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll have a one by...
Same day the vaccine becomes available, apparently.
Yes,
right?
is that... Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So we'll celebrate your birthday and a president as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good things going to happen that
So I guess
day.
people will be out on the streets one way or the other on your birthday, celebrating or rioting. One way or the other.
One way or the other.
When does Chambersburg, who do they play tomorrow night?
They play Central Dauphin tomorrow night. Okay. Where they play at Central Dauphin tomorrow night, and we are doing the game, but it's only audio. So only audio tomorrow night.
Right.
Yes, because Central Dauphin has their own live streaming now, but they will open up, and a very tough opponent to open up with.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough night.
Yes, it is. It is going to be tough. So, yeah.
Interesting season for the Trojans this year, right? I mean, they lost a lot of kids from last year, and
yes, they lost a lot from last year. They are expected to be, very, I should say very good, but very respectable anyway this year. Talking with Eric, they think they're going to be, pretty strong and pretty representative.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see
what do you guys? What do you have them picked at?
We haven't made our picks yet, so
okay.
They're kind of tough. We'll do that here before we go. So
We don't know how many games you're going to play. It makes it a challenge.
Yeah.
Right. That is a challenge.
Yes.
As of right now, State College isn't playing.
Well,
and Harrisburg's not on the schedule.
Right. Well, as of this afternoon, we understand that State College is back to playing again.
Well, they said that they were going to play sports, but they weren't going to do contact sports until they came back to school.
Oh, yeah. And they haven't come back to school. We just talked with Eric Thomas, and he said Central Dauphin are expecting them and fully expects them, from what they've heard, for State College to be there for next Friday night's game.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I know.
I always say interesting because I know Chris was looking for a game for next week. So,
okay, yeah. He was looking for a game. So, but this just came down here now this afternoon. Now this state.
Okay, so.
Yeah, but see, it could change by tonight. This State College situation, we talked about it earlier. Okay, we started, I think, with them. They didn't want to travel out of the district, and then we went to no football at all. And then it was back on, and then I heard that they didn't want teams coming in to State College, coming into State College to play, just the opposite of before. They didn't want to travel. So this situation there has just been up and down.
Right.
And it's back and forth. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I am curious about something. John and I both on this one. Okay, tomorrow night Wadesboro is allowing no visiting fans. How do they know who the visiting fans are?
Well, you bring up a great point because
I heard
this morning they sent out an email to us saying that they were going to, they opened up the 25% capacity or something like that, but they still wanted us to know that they weren't going to allow visiting fans in. And so we were okay with that. We sent that information out to our parents and our booster club and said, hey, no visiting fans in Waynesboro. It'll be live stream on Mid Penn Broadcasting, all that good stuff. And then one of my parents sent me an email with a link to the ticket site that you could buy the game tickets online.
Okay.
So I'm guessing a bunch of Shippensburg parents start buying tickets online.
Mike, is it true you were standing on a street corner handing out Waynesboro football T-shirts this afternoon?
Yes, absolutely.
Send your parents in undercover.
Yeah, and so I think what ended up happening, I'm hearing through the grapevine that then they ended up closing down that ticket site.
Yeah.
And they're doing something else and trying to sell them at the window or something because you can't have, here's the thing. I think they were like, well, someone made a comment that like, well, we were hoping that everyone would respect our policy of no visiting fans. And if we've learned anything as athletic directors over the years, is parents don't respect anything.
Not a lot of respect out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to not go see their kid play because you said we don't want you in here. If you're selling tickets, they're coming.
Yes, indeed. And apparently they didn't do, in the playoffs already or something, big games, these professional teams block out certain zip codes so people can't buy tickets. So,
yeah, IP addresses from certain areas.
IP, they've done that, quite a few teams. So, if Waynesboro did, if you put them out online, you have no control.
Yeah, you have no control, and you don't know who in the Waynesboro School District is related to a family in the Shippensburg School District is going to send them that information anyway.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, in the world of social media, like you have no idea how fast that stuff's going to go around.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are not they were not permitting visiting fans in, but now the people have tickets. I don't know what they're going to do, but we'll find out tomorrow night, 7:00, about 6:30. We'll find out.
Like Gary said, they can be checking driver's licenses, or just where are you from?
Well, it'll be when they have the maroon shirts on that say Greyhounds on.
That could be. If you're smart, you won't wear that. Put it on under your sweatshirt and take it off once you're inside the stadium.
And sit on the visiting side.
There you go.
Better view over there. And it's not. In Waynesboro, that's the worst visiting section in the country.
Well, the home side, you can see the mountains off in the distance.
Right.
That's nice.
And you say, why is the visiting side the worst, Mike?
There's only like 4 rows of bleachers over there.
Oh, yeah.
They go the whole length of the field, but they're only like 5 high. You can barely see over the players' heads when you're sitting in those bleachers.
Yeah.
That's why it's the visitor side.
So it's not like you're going to go sit in the visiting side because it's a better view. You're going over there because that's your team.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so it should be interesting. And, a lot of schools like Waynesboro opening up to over 1,000 fans, that was kind of sudden and all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, like we said, a lot of that stuff just is happening just because of all the different court rulings and stuff going on with the legislature.
Right. We tell our people every day. Well, I'm going to tell you something at 10 o'clock. It's going to be different at noon and different at 2.
Yes,
and nothing I tell you. Don't hold me to anything I say. I'm like a senator.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'll vote for you.
Yeah. Because
we've been told by. And we got information from the PIAA saying, telling school districts not to, they recommend that you don't move from the 250-25 numbers.
Yeah.
And then a lot of school solicitors are saying, you should probably try to stay on the 250-25 numbers for now until some of this other stuff is cleared up or what happens. So, some districts are doing it just because they want to, and others are like, all right, we're going to hold true to what we're supposed to do. And right now at SHIP, we're holding true to the 250-25, and again, that by tomorrow morning, that could all be changed.
Yes, and like John said earlier, Waynesboro is the only Franklin County school that hosts a game this week, so there's still another week for other schools to set their policies here.
Yeah, and the biggest issue that we've talked about before is volleyball. I mean, people are hosting Saturday games and stuff, and you can't fit the teams in the gym. I mean, that's a bigger argument than what you're going to try to do on a Friday night.
Yes, exactly. And you don't even have enough space to put the teams inside the gym.
Yeah, 10 players on a team, a coach or two, an official, a scorekeeper. You're already at your limit. Yeah,
you're limit. But it's just amazing. I mean, we're watching. You guys, you're watching some college football games, you're watching some pro games, stadiums are either empty or, a certain percentage and that kind of thing. And we want 2,000 and 3,000 people stacked into a high school stadium. Just doesn't make sense.
Yes. We've been talking about that earlier tonight. Not much of this does make sense here at all. So,
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't. Well, let's take a few minutes here and do some football picks.
Let's do it.
Let's
Ready.
Do it for the year. So, Mike, do you want to start this off?
Make sure you write this down,
Sure.
Gary.
Yes, I'm going to. Yeah.
We're going to go team by team?
Yeah, we're going to go team by team. And,
all right. Well, who's first?
Greencastle.
Greencastle? What am I predicting the record, right?
Yes, predicting the record.
Okay, 7 games, 7-game schedule.
Yeah, we'll do it based on what the schedule is as of right now. Obviously, there's a chance games could be removed or added, but we'll go based on the 7 games. Yeah.
Greencastle this year. Let's see. I'm going to go. I'm going to say 2-5, but you could sell me on 1-6.
Okay, but you're going to stick with 2-5. Very tough schedule for Greencastle, Mike. They open up with Susquehanna Township tomorrow night. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think East Pennsboro will be a decent game for them. I don't know about anybody else on the schedule. No, I'm going 1-6 there.
You're going. Oh, you've changed your pick, so you're.
I'll say 1-6, but I don't know. I don't know if they can find a win on the schedule.
Okay, John.
If I could go 1.5 and 5.5, I would, because I'm kind of really stuck between 1 and 2. I think West Perry is a winnable game for them. East Pennsboro, I think, is a winnable game. Waynesboro, I think, is a better team than Greencastle, but Greencastle is always a good game. Waynesboro always brings out the best in Greencastle. So it's not like prior years where, they had the out-of-division schedule where they had a Hanover where you knew they were going to get at least one win, and a Camp Hill where, they had a chance to win because they did beat Camp Hill a couple of years ago. And last year, I think they should have won the game against Camp Hill, but I think they had a fumble late and ended up losing that game by 3. Anytime, when it comes to Greencastle, anytime I'm stuck between a number, I'm always going to go higher. I'll say 2-5. I think somewhere between, I think West Perry and East Pennsboro, they can get some wins. Maybe they shock the world and beat a Waynesboro. Northern, no. Shippensburg, no. Susquehanna Township, most likely not. Mechanicsburg, no. So I'll go 2-5 and cross my fingers.
Okay, 2-5 for Greencastle. And I am going to have to not go with that. I'm going to go with 1-6.
What would be interesting, and hopefully, and I know Eric talked about this earlier when he was on between 8 and 8:30, possibly Chambersburg and Greencastle playing after in the postseason, quote unquote. And maybe even if a Greencastle could pick up a game against JB would be good, because one of the things we really haven't talked about tonight is tomorrow night's James Buchanan's return to the Mid Penn Conference.
That is correct. They play at Big Spring.
Yeah, in the Liberty Division.
And while we're on the subject of JB, let's go ahead and predict their record for the year. Mike?
I will take James Buchanan at 1-6 also.
Yeah.
Not a big proponent on the Liberty Division. I didn't follow the Tri-Valley League a whole lot last year. I know Upper Dauphin, did they come along with the Tri-Valley schools, Mike?
Yes, they did.
I know Upper Dauphin was the district champion last year in the AA classification, so obviously they can play some football up there. I'm going to go 1-6 also with JB.
Yeah, I think you have to. The you said Upper Dauphin's pretty good. They're pretty psycho right now about football in that area, but you're going to, the Halifaxes, Lime Mountain's pretty good. They're not going to beat Steel High. I don't know if Steel High's on their schedule. Their schedules are different.
They play Steel High Saturday.
And I don't think they play Middletown either. But even the other schools that are there, I don't know what they got a coaching change at JB. I think it's going to be hard for them to win more than one.
And I'm going to go with that 1-6 also. And how about Waynesboro, Mike?
Waynesboro could be 3-4. I think in the division. I'm going to go with 3-4 on Waynesboro. I think they'll beat West Perry, and I think they'll beat Greencastle, and the rest they're going to be in the battle for the rest.
Okay, so you're Waynesboro at 3-4?
Yes.
Okay. John?
Yeah, again, another tough opening to the season, having to face Shippensburg tomorrow night for Waynesboro. That'll obviously be a test and kind of be a measuring stick game for them. I know they lost a lot up front on the line. They bring back the starting quarterback. Some of the skill position players are back. It's all going to come down to if a new offensive and defensive line can gel and get things done. Again, I'm going to take the optimistic side. I'm kind of stuck again between 3 and 4, so I'll go 4-3 for Waynesboro.
Nice.
And I'm going to go along with John at that 4-3 record there.
And now with overtime, you can't have ties, so I can't go 3.5 and 3.5.
Right, yeah, so you get right, exactly.
So where are your 4 wins? I want to hear.
I think they beat West Perry. I think they beat Mechanicsburg. Or I think they can compete with Mechanicsburg. I think they beat East Pennsboro. Yeah, it's tough. That's a good one. I mean, I don't think they beat Shippensburg. I don't think they beat Township. I don't think they beat Northern. Make it 3 and 4.
I mean,
you want to go?
No, I mean, you missed Greencastle in there.
That's true. Yeah. Keep it 4 and 3.
I mean, so if you take Mechanicsburg, if you haven't beaten Mechanicsburg, then
4's possible.
Then then 4 is a good solid number.
That's their ceiling. Yeah. I think it's going to be either going to be somewhere between 2 and 4. I think 3 is probably the most logical number, but I'm going to be optimistic and go 4.
I got it. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, now for Shippensburg. Mike?
Well, I mean, typically I got to say 7-0, right?
Or you lose your job, yeah.
I mean, I have to say 7-0 about that, but I do think that I think they're defensively, I don't think they're near as good as they've been the last couple of years. So I think they're going to have to outscore some people. They play Township late in the year, so again, that you don't know how that game will play out. But Township, I think, was going to give them some trouble. And I think Northern is always a tough game for them. Mechanicsburg could end up being a tough game for them. So I'll say they're going to be 6-1 because 7-0. That's just, as we say every year. I always think 10-0.
Yeah.
To go undefeated the season is always tough. So I'll give them a 6-1 just because defensively I don't know if they match up well with Township.
Okay, and John, we'll have to move along. Okay. We're getting close to 9 o'clock.
Real quick here, I'm going to go 6-1 also. Again, I think they have the talent to go 7-0, but to be up and successful and be on for 7 consecutive Friday nights is just so difficult when you're dealing with 17 and 18-year-olds. Somewhere along the line, I don't know who it's going to be, but I think somewhere along they have one of those nights where things just don't go their way, so I'm going to go 6-1.
Okay, and I'm going to go at 5-2. And I think they'll have trouble with Susquehanna Township and maybe Northern too.
Right.
So. And let's go with Chambersburg here, Mike.
Chambersburg, I think you're going to be Carlisle on the schedule, and I think CD East to be competitive with. I think the Cumberland Valley game is going to be a competitive game. But I don't see them coming back with more than 2 wins, so I'll say 2-5.
2-5, John.
Yeah, again, they lost a lot of good players. Yeah. I know they have some young, solid talent coming back, but they lost a lot of great players from last year's team. Just a great 2-year run for Mark Luther. I think this group will improve over time. I think it's going to be tough this year, not having the scrimmage last week. I think maybe puts them back a little bit. The Commonwealth Division is just brutal, as always, so I'm going to go 2-5 as well.
Actually, let's make it 2-4. They only have 6 games on their schedule.
No Harrisburg,
schedule right now.
Okay, 2-4. 2-4.
Yeah, and I'm also going to go 2-4. It's about, with Carlisle. Yeah. It's kind of tough to find very many wins there with the schedule they have coming up. And we are coming right up on 9 o'clock, Mike. Thanks for joining us tonight here on Chalk Talk. In the Pit with Brian is coming up next on 93.7 FM WRGG.
LP Greencastle.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. The leader of the Republican Party has insisted there will be an orderly transition of power after the presidential election. Mitch McConnell's tweet comes after President Trump refused to commit to a peaceful handover should he lose. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
President Trump sparked a firestorm when he said, "We'll have to see what happens," when asked if he would commit to a peaceful transfer of power after the election. Mr. McConnell and other top Republican lawmakers have tweeted reassurances that the process will be orderly and legitimate as outlined in the Constitution. With 40 days to go until the election, the president currently trails his challenger, Democrat Joe Biden, in national opinion polls.
Another night of protests is expected in Louisville, Kentucky. 2 police officers were shot during protests on Wednesday night over the decision not to prosecute the officers who killed African-American Breonna Taylor. A Kentucky grand jury charged one man with wanton endangerment, but did not charge any of the 3 policemen involved for her death. U.S. correspondent Nick Harper reports.
Protests erupted in the Kentucky city of Louisville and in other U.S. cities overnight following the grand jury decision on Wednesday. A state of emergency and curfew in Louisville had already been put in place in preparation of potential protests. The 2 police officers who were shot during the demonstrations overnight have non-life-threatening injuries, and a suspect is in custody. The grand jury decided to charge one of the 3 officers at the scene of Miss Taylor's shooting with a minor charge for firing shots that hit a different neighbouring apartment. Kentucky's Attorney General said the 2 officers who shot Miss Taylor, killing her, were justified in their actions.
The European Health Commissioner has issued a dire warning over a spike in coronavirus infections across the bloc, with some member states now worse off than they were at the height of the pandemic in early spring. Tony Waterman has more.
The European Health Commissioner, Stella Kyriakides, says she is deeply concerned over what is happening now and what may follow in the coming months. The big fear is a twindemic of flu and coronavirus as winter approaches. The flu alone kills upwards of 70,000 Europeans a year, and the bloc has already been grappling with an onslaught of new COVID-19 infections since August. She urged governments to roll out new antivirus measures and told citizens to maintain discipline around hygiene and distancing, especially younger people who are now seeing the sharpest uptick in new infections. But the approach in Europe remains hodgepodge. Some countries, like Spain and France, are implementing strict new anti-COVID measures, while others, like Belgium, are rolling back on restrictions even as cases rise.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Banking done your way. It's the power to make life better. It's the convenience of managing funds.
All right, everybody, we are in the pit with Brian. Thank you for joining in. Let me get the other mics turned down. Kim Yates, who is the owner and operator, correct?
That's me.
Okay. She hasn't sat yet. Her head's sitting at the mic, though, so that's kind of odd looking. It's weird. It kind of resembles a little bit.
It's me.
It is you.
Cookie me.
See? And you guys at home, if you can't see, you guys go to the Ghost Pit live. You'll see it's not quite a spitting image, but it's pretty close. Not to insult you.
It's all good.
Okay. She likes it. She enjoys it. So, Kim, who did you bring along with you tonight?
Well, to my right, we have Bubbles. She's a young actress. She's a makeup artist, and she assists Jamie in the House of Eyes. This is Bubbles.
Hi, nice to meet you.
The House of Eyes is awesome, by the way.
Thanks.
So,
and to my far right, where's the camera?
right over here. It's got all three. It's got the 3 of you right there.
Okay, just want to make sure
there
I'm
you go.
on.
Oh, you're on.
To my far right, we have the famous Trixie. Yes, Trixie's very, very, very popular in the Kim's Crypt Haunted Mill world. She actually started managing Kim's Crypt in Essex when I had 2 attractions at the same time. And that's how I met Trixie. I put an ad out there that I basically put on Facebook. I was like, looking for manager for a haunted attraction. And she answered. So she actually managed the haunted attraction 2014 and 15 in Essex, Maryland, while I was running the Haunted Mill when we had like only 4 attractions then, I think. And then the next year we had 5. And I think I met you in around 14 too?
Yeah, the first year you bought the mill, I was there.
Yep. You were like, what, 10?
I was 14.
Yeah. She was a youngster.
So for those of you listening at home and watching on the live, we're in Greencastle, Franklin County, and then it's not going to get any better, you guys, I promise. It's actually going to get worse because I think there's another one coming.
Did you get one?
Where are you actually located? Adams County?
We're located in York County.
York County.
The Mangus Mill. Yeah, I'm thinking about that. Because Trixie's got a cat, and she calls it Mingus. So now that it's purposely said that way, and we found him at the mill, and he's real pretty, and he used to be real skinny, now he's real fat, and he gets like this, and he crosses his feet like this. He's like this, even though he's a boy, he does like this. He's really cute. What? You can talk about your cat.
No.
So if you guys listening in here at home, she's finding hair on the mic.
Yeah, so we're located in I didn't finish. I didn't finish it. That's what I do.
I cut you off.
It's we're located in Spring Grove, PA. It's in between York and Hanover. There's Spring Grove, this little town. So you'll know when you get there because it starts to stink a little bit. And you'll be like, it smells like cabbage. You'll be like, oh, we're here. That's what Kim was talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Kim's Crypt, Haunted Mill, and Stinky Town. Because they make paper there. Isn't that right?
And that was above her head and below her chin. So, it's between there and there. So if you want to see what's going on in the studio right now, hop over to the Ghost Pit. Check this out because they are...
We're here.
Front and center, and it's above Kim's head and below her chin. So they are on the live. You're going to see them all throughout the hour. So you guys opened up last week, correct?
Yes, we did. We opened up I like to stand, so I'm just trying to get
this.
Let me know if I'm too loud.
They won't see. No, they like it loud. They need it loud so they can hear what you're saying. Yeah, we get that all the time.
Can you? Where do you see if people are talking or not? I can't see.
Can
you see it?
Oh, I could have. I didn't even turn this on yet. So let me do that while you're talking.
We'll wait.
That's okay.
So anyway, kimscrypt.com, spelled with K's, not C's, is the website. You can get tickets online for all of our events, everything we got going up. We got the Anything Goes tour coming, and that is, when is that, Trixie? What? The Anything Goes tour. Pay attention. The Anything Goes tour. I think it's October something.
Just Trixie, huh? It just has it.
That's it. Okay, and we also have a trunk or treat event coming up on the 26th of, I believe it's October. That's a Sunday.
Very cool.
I'm so excited.
Now, how do people get involved with the trunk or treat? Can they just show up and hand candy out, or how do they get involved with the trunk or treat?
We want the kids to come out during the daytime. It's a 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. event.
Very cool.
It's the 26th of October. That's a Sunday. And that's the same day that Scarlet Angel, my band that I play drums and sing backup, was playing at the Union Hotel. So I will be in two places at one time.
Very cool.
That's kind of what I do. But we're going to have prizes for the best decorated kid and the best decorated car and stuff like that. We're going to give out prizes. It'll be a lot of fun. So
Cool.
Come out there and check that out. We have another event. I'm not going to talk about what we're going to do. I'm just going to talk about what we are going to do. When is that Anything Goes tour?
Yeah. All right. Yep. So that was a head nod. So we've got above the head, below the chin, and a head nod so far.
I just show up. She's just here for a good time.
Oh, and for those listening, we do have the famous Cookie coming back to help us out again this year. He will be starting tomorrow night, which is Friday, the 20th. Where are we at? 25th. Yeah. Of September.
26th is Saturday.
And that's featuring the Ghost Pit. They're going to be doing the tour. It's going to be a ghost tour of the House of Eyes and the Haunted Mill, and it is off the hook, scary, crazy. I think some of the people in this room have done that before.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Yes. Mike is up here. Yep. Mike's back here in the
Mike's
corner.
over there.
Jim, Judy, you guys got to get out there. Pam, I know you said, where are you? You're behind the monitor. I can see part of you. So is that it's a full body apparition back there? It's a lot of fun when you get to take a location that is based on scaring people.
Right.
And then you try and get people to understand that the history behind it is also still there telling stories. So you guys are telling a story within the skit that you do.
Right.
And then we're going to come in afterwards when all that energy's hopped up and hyped up and everybody, doesn't want to leave as it is. And then you go after that side of it.
Yep.
That's what's, we did it last year. That was our first time in November. We did it after that. And, we got a lot of cool stuff. And, it was freezing cold.
Yeah.
So, this time around, it's supposed to be a cool 60 couples. So hopefully, it'll be a little bit more manageable. People won't be shivering so bad that, they're shaking the equipment out of their hand.
Cold.
I want to ask Steve Schumacher. He asked a question. I can't see the question. He said, answer me when you can. And then he said, just wondering if that's a thing. So, Steve, if you're watching, listening, go ahead and ask me that question again. Mary Truitt, Trixie.
Trixie.
Mitzi, hey, Kim.
What's going